Okay, let's go on to next season. I want to give you like an early list here of my 2024 Heisman contenders, because I think we could have a great race next year. I really do, in so many ways. And again, this goes to what I've always talked about on this show. I think we're entering in to a golden age of college football where guys stay and we get more experienced quarterbacks in particular, but players in general playing the sport. And so we're going to have more guys playing at a high level. We saw that, obviously. Daniels played a lot of football. Penix played a lot of football. Nobody played more football than Bo Nix, over 60 starts in his career. That's why they were such good players. And hopefully that sets them up for success at the next level. But here we go. We look towards 2024. I'm going to go 5-1. All right. So this first player, he needed a lot of help, but they're starting to get it in the transfer portal. And when you look at the entirety of the program set up for him specifically to succeed, his ability level, his resources, in particular at the skill positions. Shedeur Sanders from Colorado, I think is a dark horse. I know he's not at the major brand, but Colorado has a Heisman Trophy winner in their past, 94 Rashaan Salam. He's going to get a lot of attention. Now, some of it might not be great, and maybe some voters are out there and won't want to vote for Shedeur Sanders. But with what's going on in the transfer portal and the help that they're getting on the offensive line, you can't tell me that this guy won't be among the nation's leading passers if he gets protected a little bit. He was headed in that direction this year until it just like Katie barred the door, like they couldn't protect him at all. No one was sacked more than Shedeur Sanders. But they're getting the help up front. They're getting some really quality offensive linemen. And if he's protected, just better. Not even great, but just better. This guy is going to have the numbers. And the question will be, what does his team do? Are they excelling? Are they getting to that 8, 9, 10 win clip? And if they do, a couple of years after winning one game, I think he's going to get some consideration for the Heisman Trophy. All right, so at number 4, I've got Dillon Gabriel, and he's going to Oregon, transferring from Oklahoma, and this is a perfect fit. Right? Like, similar to the NFL, fit matters. And Dillon Gabriel at Oregon is a perfect fit. They require their quarterback to be I don't want to say game manager because there's a bad connotation to that, but a game manager and a distributor, I think is a better way to put it. A point guard. That's what Bo Nix was so good at, right? He's such a smart player and he could distribute the ball on time and accurately. And he did that so well. That's exactly what Will Stein, the offensive coordinator, requires out of his quarterback, and that's what he's going to get from Dillon Gabriel. I don't think if you were to ask me, even before this transfer, name a spot where Dillon Gabriel fits perfectly, I would have said Oregon. Even before he's in the transfer portal. This makes so much sense. And because of that, he's going to be so experienced. By the way, Bo Nix set an FBS record for starts at the quarterback position. Well, I think Dillon Gabriel's got like 49 now. So if he stays healthy, he's going to beat Bo Nix's record. So they're going to have these experienced quarterbacks year after year at Oregon. I love what they've been able to do. At number 3, I've got JJ McCarthy. And I wanted to just give the caveat. This is guys that we don't know yet, but possibly could stay in college football. I don't know if JJ McCarthy is going to declare for the NFL. I think a lot of it has to do with and will depend on how they do in the postseason, in the college football playoff. They have a chance. If the right guys come back, he's going to have Colston Loveland, his tight end. He's likely going to have Donovan Edwards. There's a chance Roman Wilson could come back if he doesn't like his draft stock. They've got some really good young players. They've got an offensive line that's going to be solid in front of them. They've got good young running backs. So Michigan has a chance to be really strong again, but a lot of it depends on is Jim Harbaugh going to be there? Will McCarthy be there? I'm not sure. If he's back, he's going to be in the running for the Heisman Trophy. And he's the type of guy that if Michigan continues to win, he will get kind of that career achievement style of narrative and momentum, because his numbers are not going to be from a production standpoint amongst the elites as it relates to overall volume of production, just because of the style of play that Michigan has. But just as a player, he's going to be in the conversation. Number 2, Jalen Milroe. I think that's a no-brainer. Look at what this guy can do, throwing the football with his legs. He in so many ways has evolved and developed into a great player. From the player that we saw against Texas early in the season to the one that beat Georgia. He makes good, clean decisions. He's so athletic. He can throw the football really well down the field, and that's just going to get better. You know, now Nick Saban and that offensive staff, Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, they know what they are offensively with Jalen Milroe. They can now build around him for a whole offseason. And because of that, he's going to be right in the mix there at number 2. And then number 1, and again, this is a lot like J.J. McCarthy, I think he's going to come back. I don't know this for sure, but if he does, I think that up front there would be Quinn Ewers at Texas. He's now led his team to a playoff berth, and here's Quinn Ewers. And I know you're thinking to yourself, like, are we sure Arch Manning's not going to be the quarterback? Well, you know what? He might. And if Arch Manning's the quarterback, then he would be on this list. So I basically should say just the Texas quarterback. But if it's Ewers, which I'm actually expecting him to come back, he will continue to develop and continue to put up quality numbers. This is a highly explosive offense. It will continue to be with Steve Sarkisian. They've got things rolling up front on the offensive and defensive line. They're recruiting at a high level, and Ewers could sit there and have a tremendous season once again. A year after, who knows? Maybe they win the national championship. I don't think it would surprise me at all if any of these 4 teams in the playoff win the national championship. That's one of the reasons why I'm so excited for this playoff, is because I don't think that there is an outright favorite. I think Bama could win the national championship. I think Michigan could win the national championship. I think Texas or Washington. So when you think about that, maybe Texas is coming off a national championship and there's Quinn Ewers and he would be up there at number 1. Now, that being said, there are some guys that I wanted to mention because they didn't fit in my top 5, but I think it would be a disservice to you listening to this show to not mention some of these guys. How about Cam Rising at Utah, playing in his 75th season of college football? He's going to garner some attention, there's no doubt. This guy was the back-to-back Pac-12 champ when he was the quarterback. Now he's moving to the Big 12. Their schedule is going to get easier. Utah could very well win another conference championship, wind up in the 12-team college football playoff, and there's Cam Rising, and he would garner a lot of attention. That's number 1. Carson Beck. With what Georgia was able to do in the passing game this last year, I know that they're not in the playoff, but Carson Beck will garner a lot of attention, and rightly so. In so many ways, they evolved offensively from a passing perspective. Now, he's going to have to do that without Brock Bowers, but we'll see. No one recruits like Georgia, and they should have athletes out there. How about a guy like Travis Hunter? You know, he's the closest thing that we've had in a long time to a Charles Woodson or a two-way dynamic player, and he's more of a two-way player than even Charles Woodson was to win a Heisman Trophy. But there's no doubt that there will be a lot of eyeballs on Colorado. Again, if they're able to protect Shedeur Sanders, think of the numbers that a Travis Hunter could have offensively. If he throws out there and he throws 5, 6, 7 interceptions at you as well, he's going to garner a lot of attention as one of the best players in the country. And then that leads me to my final wild card. My final wild card is a guy that I don't know where he's going to play. So a lot of this for this player is dependent on what he decides to do. That's Cam Ward. Cam Ward now is the most coveted piece of the transfer portal market. Now, it's good for him. He's going to command a lot of NIL dollars, and good for him. But if he goes to the right place and if he makes the right decision, Cam Ward is going to be in the Heisman Trophy race. There's no doubt. Now, there's some places that I don't think that that's the case. If he goes, like, for instance, and this is not a knock, but like if he goes to Miami, I don't see him being in the Heisman race because I don't see Miami having the type of team season that it would require for him to go do that. Maybe Florida State is a place, but the one spot where I know he would produce, be developed, and be the centerpiece of a team that would compete for their conference championship and very likely be in the college football playoff is Ohio State. So for me, if Cam Ward were to go to Ohio State, he would be firmly inside of that top 5 in the Heisman Trophy, at least in the preseason. And we'll see where he goes. But that's a big piece of next year. That is a big piece. That's a big domino that's going to have to fall before next season. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.